Hello everyone. In today's video, I will explain how to set up and run Apache Spark application written in Scala using IntelliJ as a Maven project. So IntelliJ is the most used IDE to run Spark applications written in Scala due to its good Scala code completion. So as the very first step, you need Java in your mission because you might be aware that Spark was created in Scala language and Scala is a JVM language that needs JVM to run. So in order to compile and execute Spark applications, you need to have Java installed on your system. I have already installed Java in my system and the version of Java that I have is Java version 11. In case if you don't have Java in your machine or Scala or Spark installed in your machine already, you can watch other video in my channel explaining how to install Spark or Java or Scala in your machine. So I already have Java in my machine and I am skipping this step. The next step is to have an IDE. As I said that I will be using IntelliJ for developing Spark applications, and most of the Spark engineers use IntelliJ to run Spark applications which are written in Scala due to its good Scala compatibility. Hence it's better to have your development environment set up using IntelliJ. If you don't have IntelliJ in your machine already, you can go to jetbrains.com and download the appropriate version corresponding to your operating system. And it also has ultimate and community editions, and you can go with community edition as it is free for lifetime. I have already installed community edition of IntelliJ in my Mac and I will be using that. I'll show you how to set up a Spark project using IntelliJ. When you open IntelliJ, you will see a screen like this. You can go ahead and click on new project and provide the name for your project. So I am giving the name as Apache Spark Demo. So I'll select Maven as my build system and the JDK that I'm going to select is going to be the Java version 11. And in the advanced settings you will have option to provide group ID or artifact ID, and I have given atomic.engineering as my group ID. It's your wish, you can keep it default or you can give any name that is corresponding to your project or your company, and then click on create. As soon as you click on create, a basic folder structure will get created which you can see on the left hand side of your IDE, and it will create one file inside the source directory in the Java folder, which is the basic hello world program. So as you can see that the folder structure contains Java, because when we selected the build system we had an option to select Java but we didn't have Scala. But what we need to do to add Scala is that first we need to install a Scala plugin in our IDE. So for that you can go to IntelliJ IDEA settings and you can go to plugins and search for Scala plugin. So you should be able to see something like this and you can click on install. So this plugin will get installed, and once this plugin is installed you should be able to create files ending with Scala in your IDE. And for running Spark applications written in Scala in IntelliJ, it's mandatory to have this Scala plugin installed. Without this plugin you should not be able to run your Spark applications using Scala. So now the installation is complete and it's asking for restart IDE, so I'll click on restart. So the IDE is now restarted and we should have Scala available in our IDE. I mean the Scala plugin available in our IDE. Once we have done that, we need to make some changes in this folder structure in order for us to create Spark applications. Before we go ahead and make these changes, first I'll have a look at this pom.xml and add all the necessary properties or necessary values that are added in our pom.xml. So as you can see, once you open the pom.xml, it contains some details like your group ID, artifact ID, and the version. And you'll see some properties. So if you see Maven compiler source, it will show you the version of Java JDK that you have set, which is Java 11, which we have selected, and it has some build encoding. This will be coming as default for any of the Maven project that you are building. So you have properties, and in order for you to run any Spark application, we need to have Spark dependencies added to this Maven project. So for adding the Spark dependencies, you can go to Maven repository, right? When you click on Maven repository, something will open like this, and you will have an option to search for any dependency that you need. I'll search for Spark, and for creating Spark project, we need two mandatory Spark dependencies. The one is Spark core and the other one is Spark SQL. You may ask me, why do we need Spark SQL? Only with Spark core we should be able to write some queries, right? So Spark session is available inside Spark SQL dependency, so we need Spark SQL as well. So in order to add these dependencies to your Maven project, you can go ahead and click one of these and select the appropriate versions. I'll be using Scala version 11, Scala version 12. So I'm selecting Scala version 12 compatible link. So it took me here. I'll copy this Maven dependency format. If you click here, it will get copied automatically. So I will take that, and so we have properties, right? Below properties we need to add something called dependencies. So inside this dependencies we will add this dependency, which is Spark Core 2.12, and the other one is we need Spark SQL as well. I'll go back and select Spark SQL, and again I'll select the same Scala version, and I'll click here. This should be copied, and I'll paste this dependency here. Now we have added two dependencies, and along with Spark we also need to add Scala dependency. So I'll go ahead and search for Scala. So we need Scala library, right? So I'm using Scala 2.12.18. So I'll go ahead and copy this. Now I have added. So one thing here is, in a bigger project you might be adding many Spark related dependencies. So here you have given 3.4.1, and again you have given the version as 3.4.1. If you have multiple n number of dependencies, you need to whenever you are upgrading your project, you need to change this version everywhere. Like if you are downgrading to 3.4.0, or if a new version comes when you are upgrading to 3.4.2, you need to provide change the version in all of the places. So in order to overcome that, you can set that version as a property in your properties tag. So I'll recommend you do this. So I'll set spark dot version as 3.4.1, and the other thing that I'm giving is Scala dot version, which is going to be 2.12.18. So using this, if you have a very big POM file, if you give these properties here, you should be able to see the versions that you are having, that you are using in your project at the top here. So you will have better visibility and better way to change the versions in case if you would like to upgrade your project. So I recommend you add these two things in your properties, and instead of 3.4.1 you can change it to dollar followed by Spark version, and even here you can change it to dollar Spark version, and here you can change it to dollar Scala version. So in case if you go ahead and add some more dependency, you can just type the Spark version, or in future if you want to upgrade, if you upgrade Spark to your next version, you can just make change in this line here. So you need not make changes in all the lines which are available below. So once you provide these three dependencies, Spark core, Spark SQL, and Scala, you can rebuild this project. As soon as you make any changes in POM file, you should see this M symbol and something to load Maven changes. You can click here, and it will resolve all the dependencies for your Spark project. So if you see here, all of your dependencies will get added as soon as you make changes in your POM file. So now these dependencies are resolved. Now let us go back to our folder structure that I am speaking about earlier. So here we have Java, right? And as we are making it a Scala project, we will try to rename this to Scala, right? And even inside the test, let us rename this to Scala. Earlier we had Java here, and This Maven knows that Java is going to be the folder that contains all the source files related to the project. Now let us see what happens after renaming it to Scala. And we have the main file which is written in Java. We don't want this. You can go ahead and delete this file and create a new Scala class or new file and name it sparkdemo.scala. The extension should be Scala. So it will show you there is no Scala SDK in the module. So you can go and click on setup SDK and select the version which is same as what you have typed in your pom.xml, which is 2.12.18. So in case if you don't see anything here, you can go ahead and click on create, and when you click on create you can download the versions. So when you click on download, it will fetch all the available versions and you can select the version that is appropriate to you. In my case it 2.12.18 and click OK. So it will download the versions. In my case it is already available, so I am not downloading it again. So I'll use the existing one and click on OK. So the Scala SDK is now set up. Now let us write some Spark application. I'll tell the package as atomic dot engineering because we have packaged it inside atomic.engineering, and I'll create an object named spark demo. The object name should be same as the name of the file that you have here. Once you have the object, you can create a main class. If you just type main here, as you have set up the Scala project, Scala plugin already, and set up the Scala SDK, when you type the main, it will suggest you an option for main. If you click on this, it will show you the structure of the main, which is def main args followed by array of strings. Right, if it doesn't display anything, you can type this def main, something like this. So this is going to be the main function for our project. Inside the main, I'll initiate a spark session, or I'll create a spark session object and I'll call it spark. So in order to create this, we will call spark session. So when you call this, it will import the Spark session from spark.sql package. That's why we need the Spark SQL along with Spark core in your dependencies. Right, Spark session dot. This is going to be the format that you use for initiating any Spark session anywhere. I'll set master to be local, and I'll set app name to be atomic engineering, and I will call get or create. So what does this get or create does is that, so if the Spark session is already available in this application, it will get that Spark session. In case if the Spark session is not available, it will create a new Spark session with these parameters. I'll show you how this is going to work uh, when we run this program, right? Once we have created this Spark session, let us print the Spark session variables itself. So I'll tell, so let me print we have given the app name, right? Let us print the app name. App name, we can access the application name by using Spark context. So Spark context is available inside Spark variable or the Spark object. I'll print these three variables, and once this is done, I'll stop Spark. It's a good practice to call the spark.stop once our application is complete. Now I have created this application, and now I'll try to run this application. We might see some errors, and I'm intentional about these errors because I wanted to show you the reason why we get those errors. So when I run this, we should ideally get some errors. So let me try to run it from here. So it is showing that it is not able to find the class Spark session. So the reason being, in our pom.xml, when we have copied this Spark SQL, there is something called scope which says provided. So when there is any dependency in our project that has provided as the scope, you need to tell that in our configuration to include any of the dependencies that are coming with provided scope. So for changing your configuration, you can go to edit configurations and you can click on some new application and select the main class to be Spark demo. In your modify options, you should see something called add dependencies with provided scope to class path. You need to select this option. Once you select and apply and click on OK, then you should be able to run this. So it has shown the exit code 0, means that it is printing the Spark application Spark session variables, which is app name is atomic engineering and deployment mode is client and master is local one, which we have provided. So now let us talk about this get or create. We have said get or create, right? So I said that if the Spark session is already available, it will just take that session and it will not create the new session. So let us try how this is going to work. What I'll do is I'll create one more Spark session. I'll call it Spark 2. So I'll tell Spark session builder. I'll give a different app name. I'll call it atomic engineering new get or create. Again, I'm calling get or create method and I'll try to print all these parameters again. So Spark session 2 variables and I should call Spark 2, Spark 2 and Spark 2. So in the second block, I am printing everything related to Spark 2. So I should ideally see this local one and atomic engineering new, right? So and let us try to run on what we see when it is going to print this Spark session 2. Right. So see when it is printing for this Spark session, it has printed atomic engineering client and local one. And even when we called the Spark 2 variable, it has printed atomic engineering only, but it did not print atomic engineering new. The reason being Spark session was already available here, so it will just get that Spark session here. It will not create a new Spark session with the given variable, so it will get the previous Spark session that is already existing, right? So this is how we create any Spark application in IntelliJ using Maven. But there is one more thing. So here, if you see that we changed the project structure to be Scala, not Java. So in most of the cases, your Maven will not identify this Scala as a directory, and you might face some error like not able to find the main class Spark demo. So in such cases, you need to add build helper Maven plugin inside your pom.xml. So in order to add that, you can go to Google and search build helper Maven plugin, right? So this is going to be Mojo House. Inside this, you can select this build helper, add source, and click on usage, and you can copy this build block. So once you copy this build block, you can paste it after your dependencies, and you can remove these dots, and you can give the directory as the name of the directory you have in your project, which is source main Scala. Ideally, it would be source main Java for Java applications. As we are using Scala applications, we can give source main and Scala and reload the project. Once you reload the project and run the application, again it is asking to set up Scala SDK. Go ahead and select Scala 2.12 and you can run the Spark application. If you have faced any earlier with the previous approach, and if you have given this option now, it should be able to run perfectly. If you want a copy of this pom.xml, I will add the link to this pom.xml in the video description, and I will upload this Spark demo project to GitHub repository and share that link to you as well in the description. So this is how we set up a Spark project in IntelliJ. If you like this video, please hit the like button. And for more videos on Spark and Big Data, you may subscribe to my channel. I will also add interview related problems for all the data engineering and big data roles, which includes problems on SQL and problems on data structures and algorithms. I see many of you asking for data structures and algorithms for data engineers, and in most of the companies DSA are not being asked, but in some companies like FANG companies or startups, they might also ask some data structure related problems just to check your coding ability. These problems would be on easy or medium level. I will also add some example problems, and I will solve most frequently asked problems in interviews by any of the companies in my channel as well in a separate playlist. Do follow my channel and subscribe if you want to see any videos related to Spark, Big Data, or anything related to interviews for data engineering or big data related roles. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next video.